Alright guys, how's it going? Welcome back. Well, today we're going to collect a Peugeot 3008 that I've agreed to buy for just £2.5 grand. You might be thinking, hang on a minute Matt, you filmed one of these recently. And that's true. For some strange reason, I bought about half a dozen of these or so in the last month. Some old, some new. Anyway, they've all sold. I haven't got a single one left. So when this one was offered me, I thought, well, why not? I'm desperately hoping that this Peugeot 3008 wave that I'm currently riding on continues. Or, you know, it'll come to an abrupt end and I'll end up with egg on my face. Who knows? That is the joy of the motor trade. I often do this. I'll buy something and it'll sell within 24 hours and I think, maybe they're sought after. I'll go and buy another one or two and then they'll stick with me for 90 days. But in the case of the 3008 recently, that just hasn't happened. Every single one I've had is now vendido. I love this thing. I haven't actually seen this Peugeot yet, but I know a few things about it. I know that it's a 2009 and it's done quite low mileage. It's only done about 60,000. Interestingly though, it's from the Isle of Man. It's a Manx car. You know that little island between Britain and Ireland? It's from there. Now I've bought quite a few Manx cars over the years and they're generally, well, the ones I've bought anyway, they've been alright. They're never high mileage because it's quite a small place, so you can't exactly drive far. Up until recently, they didn't need a yearly MOT inspection either, which, thinking about it, I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I remember many years ago buying a BMW E53 X5 from a Honda dealer up in Lancaster, and that car had come from the Isle of Man. That hadn't done many miles, and I did really well out of that. I think I had about £2 grand profit from it. But with this Peugeot, I don't think my profit margin will be as chunky. I had a quick look on Auto Trader, and I think this is a £4,000 car on the forecourt. So I've paid 2.5. If I can keep my spend to around £500, then it should leave me with £1,000 profit. I know this might not sound very glamorous or exciting, but this is what I do day in, day out. Buy, fix, sell. Buy, fix, sell. As repetitive as it is, it works, so why break it? Right, let's go and have a look at this Peugeot 3008, shall we? I'll see you there. Well, here we are. It actually looks okay. I think that's quite a high-spec model because it's got the chrome mirrors and the chrome around the windows. So I think that's a higher spec. It's still on its Isle of Man plate, so I might struggle to do a car vertical check with this. Might have to use the VIN. Bodywork wise looks okay. Needs a good clean. Spoke too soon there. There's a little bit of damage or lack of peel on the rear quarter. Just looks very dull. And the same on that front quarter, front near side. Just looks a bit flat. H&H stationery Onchen? I don't know how you pronounce that. I apologise if I've offended any people from the Isle of Man. I'm guessing that's location. Looks okay. I think it's got. That's unusual. I've had loads of these, as I've mentioned countless times, and I've never had one with a grey interior like that. They're always dark. That's like a pale grey. Interesting. Right, let me quickly try and do a vehicle history check. May as well knock my engine off. I don't think this is going to work because I don't think you can check cars using car vertical from the Isle of Man. No, we're going to need the VIN. Right, there's more than one way to skin a cat. Let me try this out with the VIN then. Okay, well, it looks quite tidy, doesn't it? Does need a good clean. And look at the state of that alloy wheel. Must have some big curves in the Isle of Man. Look at the state of that. That front brake disc looks a little bit ropey as well. We've got a Atrezzo, Salon Atrezzo. No idea, never heard of that. In fact, I think I've had a Salon recently. The brake discs have got a little bit of surface rust on, but they're not lipped. Got some moss down here growing. But it's quite, oh, right. I think the previous owner's done a few little home repairs on his driveway. See this here? My guess is there were a couple of little scuffs here and he's gone to it with an aerosol tin because it is just completely matte and you can see the runs in it. I guess this is an old person. It's such an old person thing to do that, isn't it? I'll do the repairs on my driveway. I'm not paying hundreds of pounds. On the back we've got a Bravurus. Who makes that? Barham. Never heard of it. Barham Online. It's decent though, it's on about 6 mil. Moving around the back, it's had a sticker here, possibly of the supplying dealer maybe. We've got a Bosch wiper blade. That's always a good sign, I think, because they're the most expensive. couple of tiny little dents in the door there. A couple of spider's webs. Nothing too major though. And onto the front. Yeah, more do-it-yourself repairs here. Because that's matte. I bet, you know, with a little bit of time and some thinners, a lot of this will just come off and it would reveal that the damage is actually very minimal. We've got a matching sailing on this side. Right, I'm going to have to refurbish these wheels because they're a mess. You can see here where they're actually, where it's starting to peel off. Looks a bit unsightly, doesn't it? But that is on about 4mm of tread, so that's not too bad. Right. The other good news is that we've got both sets of keys. And they're not all broken. Usually Peugeot keys of this era are all limp. But these are alright. And the buttons are still intact. You can't see straight into the circuit board. Let's try then and do this car vertical check using the VIN. So we've got Victor, Foxtrot, 30, Uniform I think that is, 9, Hotel Zulu Hotel, 9 Sierra, 16 777, like the aircraft, 1, check. Will this work? Success, we found the records. Let's check this out then. This is currently checking millions of cars across dozens of countries' databases. I think it's something like 35 countries. It's really important that you do one of these checks before you buy a used car because it just saves you buying a complete lemon. Speaking of lemon, more homemade repairs here. That's atrocious. Who would think that that was a neat repair? And if you look here, the damage, I think that's the damage. I think that's the full extent of the damage, those 3 scratches there. And the previous owner has just carpet bombed the whole thing with aerosol paint. This would come up with a good buff. I think that's what I'm going to have to do with this car. Take it down to my body shop and get them to get a load of thinners on it, on rags, get rid of all that overspray, and then buff the whole thing and see how bad the damage is underneath, because I don't think it's anything serious. Right, the report's done. So it's checked 72 million damage records, 436 million vehicles across 35 countries. By the way, if you want to do one of these reports for yourself, and I urge you to do so, use the promo code HIGHPEAK and you get 10% off. Or alternatively, click the link below in the video description. They've updated the website Car Vertical, so it's even easier to use now. So it is clear, it's never been stolen, never had a mileage roll back, there's no finance outstanding on it, and it's never been involved in an accident. And it even gives you a bit of a write-up about it. So it's a 2009 Peugeot 3008, comes with various engines, 1.6 diesel, 2 litre diesel, diesel hybrid. How handy is that? Okay then. Now, I'd be very surprised if it's got any MOT information here because, like I say, it isn't a UK car. Ah, it does. Right, so in 2017, right, I think I know what's gone on here then. This was a UK car when it was new. Then I think in 2017 it was exported to the Isle of Man. That's what I think has happened. So there are no MOT records after 2017. Right, okie dokie. There you go. Exported from the United Kingdom. Exported. Tech inspections valid, okay. Exported, 2018. I tell you what, I should do this for a living, shouldn't I really? Average market price, well that's disappointing. £3,100. I was hoping this is worth about 4 grand. If it's only worth 3.1, then there is no point me doing this. It is a manual, diesel, 2009, 3008. And we've got some spec here as well. Although I think it's in French, isn't it? Right. Yep, I don't understand what any of that means, but if I could speak French, I'm sure it would be very useful. Right, so it was manufactured in 09, registered in December 09, ownership changed. Okay, right. I'm still waiting for the original, for the new logbook to come back on its UK plates. So it will show as an export and then obviously an import again. But it is originally a UK car. Fairly well travelled this whole thing, isn't it? Well, we've established then that it's got matching tyres on the rear axle, matching tyres on the front axle. They're okay. The bodywork isn't the greatest. but it does have quite a nice interior. We've got mats over mats. In fact, bloody hell, we've got mats over mats over mats. Never seen 3 lots before. Someone's been doing some insulation there in the cavity walls. This is quite a nice car, this. The interior looks very clean. I quite like this pale interior. We've got a panoramic roof. Quite nice. Isofix seats. We've got storage in the rear footwell there. Very handy. Weirdly, we've got 3 mats in the front and none in the back. We do have these blinds though. Very good. Let me show you my favourite piece about it. We've got a Range Rover style split folding tailgate. Look at that. And this shelf, which you can drop down. How practical. And yeah, look at this. You can lower the seats by pressing those, which if you had 2 young kids or something, that'd be quite handy. Or a tip run. And you've got a torch. How good. The torch doubles up as a boot light. It's more Swiss this than French, isn't it? Pop these back. Of course they're spring, oh, cup holders, look at that. Of course they're spring loaded, so they pop down. Just spotted something there in the rear seat. Both my necks work. Ah, masks. Remember when they were a thing? On this side we've got an odd rubber mat. Does need a good clean this, but it would come up very nicely. Right. I see some receipts here. As always, then let me just spin the camera around to my big globe in case I reveal anyone's address. Right, so Llangefni, is that Anglesey? I think it might be Anglesey. Peugeot. Last done in 48, a Peugeot. Then it was done in 60,000 miles. That must be the Isle of Man, mustn't it? With a phone number like that. Right. Okay. Last done at 60 then. Is that in 2019 or is that a 9 or an 8? I'm not sure. Got various other receipts here. There's a receipt here. Full service, but they've advised an offside outer CV boot is required. That was done in April 22, so last year. It's had a repair here from Cartronics, instrument cluster repair, £262 with a lifetime warranty. I've used those before, Cartronics. They're good for pixel repairs in your dash, that sort of thing. Had another service there at a Peugeot dealer, so the service history is not bad. Actually, better than I was expecting. Let's have a look under the bonnet. Where's my bonnet release? Oh, there it is. Right under my nose. So we've got the 1.6 HDI engine. It's diesel, so the oil will be black, because it always is. Yep, black as ink. Doesn't really tell us an awful lot, that. But it last had a service a year ago, so I'll give it a fresh service. Yeah, no mayonnaise there. To be fair, this engine isn't prone for head gaskets, so top up the screen wash. A little bit of surface rust in various places, but it's an old car now, this, isn't it? 2009, 14 years old. Right, well, sadly, we haven't found any treasures. Always like to find some Partex treasures. Maybe. Nope. French cars like this are always filled with little cubby boxes. We've got a Parrot kit. Interval exceeded by 1,300 miles. And we've got the spanner light on. It's done 69,000 miles.
in the world.
They were listening to Radio 4. We've got a head-up display system. That doesn't work by the looks of things. Should we fire her up? Engine light on. Oh no, it's gone off. There we go. For a second there, I thought I'd bought a Peugeot with an engine light on. What's the chances of that? Does my blind work? Oh yes. Very good. I think I'll leave it open. I like to see the sunshine. We've got, wow, look at this. Got a massive cubby box here with some leads with various things. USB connection. Somebody's spilt something down there that looks a bit nasty. I'm not going to stick my hand in there. My air conditioning does not work on a day when I desperately needed it to. Sod's law, isn't it? Been doing 40 miles per gallon. 360 miles. Oh, look at the fuel tank. We've got well over half a tank. 360 miles range. I was seeing if it would show my outside temperature. Oh, there it is. 25 degrees. 25. Have they left me any CDs? Nope. Glove box, we've got some bulbs, an RAC breakdown line there. No, aircon definitely not working. Ah, my head-up display is working, look at that. See that piece of glass that's popped up? That gives you a readout of miles per hour and all that sort of stuff. It is warm in here with no aircon, let me tell you that. Shall we reset it? Reset the service light? I could give this a service while we're sat here. You ready? So, how am I going to do this now whilst holding the camera? It's a bit of a two-man job. If only you could see this, I'm holding the camera with my chin, right. You press and hold that whilst putting the key to the ignition live position. Then it counts it down and then you can let go. There we go. I've given it a service. Genius. I did that once on a hire car in front of my dad and he thought I was a loser. Well, it sounds okay. My clutch is a little bit sort of heavy-ish, but it's not bad. And there's no dual mass vibration. I don't know whether this has got a dual mass, I assume it does. It's all right, actually, that. Parking sensors with a little display there. Right, I think we'll take it for a drive then. See how it performs. So this really then, for a 14-year-old car, I don't know, how would you rate it? What would you give it out of 10? I think it's all right, really, isn't it? Bodywork's not brilliant, the service history is all right. Mechanically it seems okay so far. I've got no warning lights on. We've got a little bit of a clunk on the steering. I'll have to see what that is. Runs all right though. Clutch feels fine. She pulls. Oh, that whole mirror's quite loose there. You know what, on second thoughts, I'm quite happy with that rearview mirror where it is. Dent touch the bloody thing. Yeah, this is all right, I guess, isn't it? Windows work. This, I suppose, is your bog standard average used car, isn't it? It's not mint, but it's not terrible either. I think I'll get it down to my mechanics, give it a service, MOT, check it over, gas the air conditioning. That's a few £100 there, isn't it? Get the wheels refurbished because they're a bit of a state. If they weren't quite so bad, I think I could get away with them, but they are quite scruffy. Get it valeted. Oh, in between all that, I've got to take it to the body shop, get them to give it a good buff and get rid of all that overspray. And I think rather than repaint the panels, just touch in those few marks, and I think it would look a whole lot tidier. And I think with a car of this age, I should be able to get away with that. Surely no one's going to expect pristine panels on a 14-year-old car. Some do. I think they're wrong, but some do. Yeah, changes gear, fine. I'm in 4th. 5, 6. We're all good on the gear front. So what am I going to spend on this car then? Probably 2 at my mechanics, 200. Another 2 at the paint shop, another 2 on wheels, 246, another 60 on the aircon, 60 on a valet, 720. This is going to be a very, very thin deal, this. If I can have it done owing me 3,200 maybe, fingers crossed, then hopefully it's a £4,000 car. I think, even though Car Vertical said it was only worth 3.1, 3.2, I think I'm just going to stick it on at 3,995 and see. If it's fully sorted with 12 months MOT, no advices, all that sort of stuff, could be worth a bit more, hasn't it, surely? After all, it has only done 69,000 miles, it's not particularly high, is it? It's only 120,000 kilometres. And yeah, it'd do somebody this, wouldn't it? Excuse me, I'm going to put the window down. It is roasting in this car. Right then, I think that's what I'm going to do. We've got plenty of work here to do, so leave it with me and I shall catch up with you in, give me a fortnight, give me 2 weeks, and I'll hopefully be back in touch with you with a transformed 3008. Cheers guys, I'll see you then. And we're back, and this Peugeot 3008 has been fully transformed. I'm really pleased with the outcome of this. I mean, bear in mind this is a 13, 14-year-old car. It looks really good. I'm starting to sound like a broken record now, but I have overspent somewhat. After we last spoke, I took it down to my mechanics for a service, an MOT and a general check over, and it needed, weirdly, an alternator. It also needed a new CV boot, so both those jobs were done. That of course meant my bill there was slightly higher than I'd hoped. Then I took it down to my body shop for a bit of paint work. Now if you remember, it had some, how can I describe it, some DIY repairs. Somebody had been a bit trigger happy with the old aerosol black, which meant my bumpers had the finish of a chalkboard. I left it in the capable hands of Jimmy the Magician and he's turned it around. As I suspected, a lot of it was unnecessary. There were just a couple of small scrapes, but somebody felt the need to completely daub it in aerosol black. He got some thinners on it and took off the old paint and then attended to the repair. Then what else did I do? Oh, I got the wheels refurbished because they were in a bit of a state, and again they look as good as new. And then my aircon guy was around at the garage gassing up about half a dozen cars which had lost the gas, so I asked him to do this, and miraculously it has held onto its gas. And that's why I'm sat here with my windows up on a day where the mercury has topped 32 degrees. You wouldn't know it to be sat in here though, it's like being sat in a cooler. And I think the last job I did, after I had it valeted of course, was screw some number plates on. If you recall, it was still an its Isle of Man plate, and I think it looks much better with some fresh reg plates. And that, ladies and gents, is my job done. So what I'm going to do now is park up somewhere scenic, and I'll talk you through my costs. They are quite large though, larger than I'd hoped. But on the bright side, somebody's going to get a decent car now with all these jobs attended to. And it is quite a nice example of the 3008. I like the pale interior. I like the fact that it's got head-up display and a glass pan roof. Let's see then profit-wise if it was worth the aggravation. My guess is probably not. Probably not. What a beautiful day it is again. I've just realised this rear view mirror needs sticking back. That's one job I need to do. I need to get some Sikaflex on that and perhaps prop it up with something overnight. Right, well here we'll do then, with this lovely view. The bill at my mechanics then was £433. So oil filter £8.50, oil £25, alternator £159, CV boot labour £135, MOT test fee £40. So the total there was £433. The valet cost me £70. The number plates cost me £15. There was nothing for labour because I did that myself. The bill at the body shop was £245. Now it's had wash, clay bar, buff, polish and wax full vehicle, remove overspray and buff out scratches and touch in, repair offside front bumper corner and repaint, and a general clean. So that was £245, which has completely transformed this car. The AC regas cost me £60 and the wheel refurb cost me £180. So my total is, you got a drum roll there, the total spend on this Peugeot 3008 is £1,003. A grand, £1,000 on this car. This is the worrying thing with this job. You can have a car which on the face of it looks okay, and yet you can still spend £1,000 on it. Sorry, I was just going through my notes then because I couldn't remember how much I paid for it. I paid £2,500 for this car, so if you add in the £1,003 I've spent on it, that takes my total to £3,503. I can't think of anything else I've bought for it. I think that's it. So £3,503. I've currently got this advertised for £3,995. So it won't leave me with a massive profit, will it? leave me a profit of £497. Well, no, £492. Probably wasn't worth doing in hindsight, was it? Don't forget, I've got a VAT margin on the difference between 3,995 and 2.5 grand. That's 20% of that. Plus, on the flip side though, I will get the VAT back on my mechanic's bill because they're VAT registered. I'm going to come away with about 500 quid, aren't I? If it stays out the door for 3 months, happy days. If it doesn't, then it was a mistake. I think it should. It's got decent history, so I think that's about it. So thank you once again for watching. Make sure you give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Make sure you subscribe if you haven't done already. You can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I'll leave the link below. And yeah, cheers guys. See you next time.